Buenos días, buenas tardes, y buenas noches. Bonjour, bonsoir, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. Jay Slater case on this Friday, August 14th, and chosen background of the day. One Dr. Adeley, and today he really does feature in what I hope is an analogy that I've kind of constructed, kind of thought about, and I wanted to kind of imagine a scenario under which this guy is the referee, and the referee that has to make a very, very important decision, which he was indeed. But with the World Cup having ended about a month ago, I thought we should dip back into the world of football and try to recreate the situation this referee was in, given all of those around him that were giving him such strange information, misinformation, and disinformation in many respects. It is no surprise that this guy came to a most absurd conclusion. So, in this imaginary game of football, and I do stress it's imaginary, otherwise, people that don't understand analogies, people that don't understand metaphors and that kind of language. I'm talking about the AG dullards here. Will start saying immediately, "Oh, but Smith is lying, Duncan is lying. Adeley was never a referee." I'm moving this idea over from the realm of law, Jay Slater case, to a sporting scenario, just to give you an idea where I'm going with this. So what I want you to imagine is there's two teams competing on the field of play here. And one of them scores a goal. And the referee here, James Adeley, he awards the goal. But there's a lot of protest about the decision he made, the verdict he gave. A lot of protest. There are players on the field angry, spectators all around, the crowd, if you like, a number of which are just gobsmacked that goal was awarded. And I want you to imagine that the reason that there is so much protest and upset about a goal awarded by this man is that it's obvious. It's obvious to anyone that was watching, anyone who's fair that was watching, that the goal should never have been awarded because there was an incident of foul play leading up to the goal. In this day and age of VAR, all the technology that goes with professional sport, I think on balance it is a good thing that an obviously incorrect decision, in my imaginary scenario, the one that Dr. Adeley made, can be taken away, can be reversed. Because, for example, an obvious foul or foul play that happened leading up to the goal should make the goal null and void. The problem is, how sure can the referee be that that foul play that so many people claimed they saw, and he didn't, actually happened? Well, of course, there is the VAR system, video assistant referee. And let us imagine this scenario that Dr. James Adeley decides he'll go to VAR. He's going to check the cameras to see what it actually reveals. And when he does go to the VAR, what he finds very disappointingly is that VAR hasn't worked, that there is no moving image of this foul play incident, that all we have is an image, a still, if you like. The technology hasn't worked for him. And the player that was supposedly involved in this foul play, the player that was the victim of the foul play leading up to the goal, is one Jay Slater. And all referee Adeley sees when he looks at that camera work, that film, that angle, is not a film. It froze on the day. And he just has a still. And the still shows Jay Slater perfectly upright in a normal pose, not collapsed, not on the ground. And when he's talking to the VAR officials. They're like, I'm sorry, we've got nothing more than that. We can't show you any possible foul play here. We can just show you this image that we have, you know, of the player Slater, but he's upright. Now, of course, on the field of play, referee Adeley has two other sources that he can turn to. You know, he has two other sources that he can refer to. He has the assistant referee. I used to call them, well, everyone used to call them linesmen. I don't know when that word faded out, but the assistant referee's got two of them on either side of his field of play here. And one of them is called Dickie Shepherd. Yeah, one of his assistant referees is called Dickie Shepherd. And of course, referee Adeley is going to turn to assistant referee Dickie Shepherd. Say, Dickie, what did you see? Yeah, what's your conclusion from this foul play leading up to the goal theory? Now, there's a problem with Dickie Shepherd because even though he's a very well qualified assistant referee, Dickie Shepherd, in his own autobiography, mentioned he did have a drinking problem at one stage. Some, I don't know who, have even referred to him as Drinking Dickie. And on that particular day, there's a certain amount of slurred speech coming out of Dickie Shepherd's mouth. And he doesn't seem to be particularly consistent on that day. Well, the long and the short of it is when Dickie Shepherd communicates with referee Adeley, assistant referee Shepherd says something about, well, Slater could have been pushed. And furthermore, Dickie Shepherd says something like, there could have been foul. Or does he say a fall? Yeah, Dickie Shepherd comes out and he says, you know, what you've described to me would be consistent with a fall from height. And Adeley's like, what are you talking about? I'm just asking you, was there a foul on Jay Slater? And Shepherd repeats, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, you look at Jay Slater's injury, yeah, that he sustained on the field of play just before that goal was scored, and the injury is consistent with a fall from height. Slater could have been pushed. But Adeley doesn't take that. He's like, I need to know, was this foul play? And at that point, Shepherd can't quite pull through and say, yes, it was foul play. So Adeley's still on the brink of disallowing this goal he's given, but he can't quite do it yet. Now, rather bizarrely, there are three players on the field, and they come up to Adeley and they say, we're 100% sure there was foul play. Yeah, we know it. We saw it. We're here to tell you, referee, there was foul play. Slater was the victim of foul play. And those three players are called, well, last names. You don't need to know their first names, but they're, you know, long-term established players on the professional circuit, if you like. Pennington, Gobshite, and Beamondo. All three of them say, we're here to tell you, ref, it was foul play. Foul play. Slater was fouled. Simple as that. And that sounds convincing. That sounds convincing. But on the other hand, message comes down from VAR to referee Adeley that actually a few seconds before the supposed foul play incident, 5 other players were in that vicinity, and they should have a very good view of what happened. And VAR tells Adeley, the 5 players you need to talk to, just leave Pennington, Gobshite, and Beamondo aside. You need to talk to Rocas, Cassim, Hodgson, Maylor, and Hargreaves. Because VAR shows a few seconds before the supposed foul play, they are right there. They are the closest people to Slater. But the problem here is when Adeley starts looking around to find these 5, Rocas, Cassim, Hodgson, Maylor, and Hargreaves, all 5 of them have actually kind of disappeared. They're not coming up and volunteering to speak to Adeley. He even shouts out their names. He gives a summons, if you like. But no one, it's bizarre. No one can find these five. They seem to have just disappeared from the field of play. And in an unprecedented move, Adeley actually asks the stadium loudspeaker announcements to put out there, could Rokas, Kassim, Hodgson, Maylor, and Hargreaves, five players that were on the field of play just before the supposed foul play incident happened to Jay Slater, report to the referee? But they don't. And no one can actually see them. Where they've gone, into the dugout, early bath in the change room, who knows? They're just not there. And another strange turn happens. Just after that announcement for these five players to come to the referee and bear witness, the three players that were 100% sure there had been foul play, they then step up to Adeley again. This is Pennington, Gobshite, and Beamondo, and they tell referee Adeley, oh, we've changed our minds. We are now 100% sure there was no foul play on Jay Slater. Now, this blows Adeley's mind totally. Because, as I said 5 minutes ago, they were 100% sure foul play was involved. And now they're coming in to say they're all three of them 100% sure no foul play was involved. And when Adeley quizzes them about this, when Adeley says, I don't get this, you just told me. You witnessed the foul play. You're 100% sure there's foul play here. And now you've reversed that? Why is that? It's a little bit strange the reaction Adeley gets. He gets all three of them saying, well, we're allowed to change our opinion. We can change our opinion. We don't have to explain to you why we've changed our opinion. Yeah, people can change their opinion, referee. Adeley's like, yes, I know, but how? Why? What has happened in the last 5 minutes for you to change your opinion? No answer. Pennington, Gobshite, and Beamondo just disappear. There is no explanation of why they have done a 180. And this leaves poor Adeley scratching his head here. But then a stroke of good luck of sorts, because kind of pushed on to the field of play by the stewards on the sidelines there, not all five of the missing players, but Hodgson, let me repeat, Maylor and Hargreaves appear. Hodgson is kind of on the sidelines, but he's silent. He doesn't say a thing. To all intents and purposes, Hodgson appears to be a deaf mute. No matter what Adeley throws out in the direction of Hodgson, Hodgson just doesn't say anything. As far as Maylor goes, now she starts talking about a GoFundMe. She doesn't address the issue of, was there foul play involved here with Jay Slater? She starts to say, well, she set up a GoFundMe immediately because she realized the family of Slater might need those funds because his injury was severe, to come and be with him. And tourist accommodation and food, that all costs money. So Maylor says, yeah, I can't help you beyond telling you I set up a GoFundMe. I hope that was right. And as for Hargreaves gives some interesting testimony. He said that he tells Adeley, he said, I did see Slater go over. Yeah? He said, I saw Slater go over. He said, not a big dip, but, stones. Yeah. I saw Slater. He went over. It was like someone going over a dip. Not big dip. No, but he went over. Stones. Well, Adeley can't make head or tail of this. I mean, Hargreaves is implying that, yes, Slater went over, but that could be lost his balance. That could be, what's the stones thing all about? So he's lost on this. And at this point, I think, you'll find that Adeley is now thinking, what about the last two, Rokas and Kassim? Surely if I can get some sense from them, because VAR is actually telling Adeley that the two players closest to Jay Slater when this supposed foul play happened were Rokas and Cassim. So his last throw of the dice here, Adeley, does he award the goal or does he disallow it because of foul play? He's about to go and make a last-ditch effort to find Rokas and Cassim. However, remember, there's another assistant referee in play here. Shepard's on one side. Adeley's forgotten. The other guy, that assistant referee, starts running towards Adeley. His name is Mark Williams Thomas. And this other assistant referee goes straight to Adeley, says, I know what you're thinking. You've got to speak to Rokas and Cassim about this foul play. The only problem is Rokas has a history of red card after red card after red card. In fact, Rokas has another disciplinary hearing coming up soon. I really don't think his word is going to be worth much. Adeley? And as for Cassim, same thing. His whole career almost is red card, suspended from play. These two aren't going to tell you anything of worth. And with that, with this lack of reliable VAR evidence, with this lack of player testimony, with this bizarre reversal of three players that went from, there's foul play to no, we've changed our minds, there is no foul play. With unreliable Dickie Shepherd, with Mark Williams Thomas producing that vital information that the two players you're thinking of consulting to make a decision, they're not worth talking to. Adeley finds he's stuck. He has to actually go with his original decision and award that goal. It's the goal that the group we call the accident group has celebrated ever since. It is his verdict. But in the back of the minds of all the crowd that saw that contest, back of the minds of the players, the honest players that saw what happened to Jay Slater, they all know there was foul play, and they all know the foul play should have been ruled out. There is one more bizarre aspect to this contest, and that is when the final whistle goes and Adeley's decision rules the day, you would have thought, and most people would have thought, that all the players in the team who had won on that day, again, let's call them the accident group, they would be celebrating and would also walk off that field of play and never really have a concern for the contentious issue of was there foul play on Jay Slater. I mean, after all, once that contest is over, the decision's made, why would it be any kind of imposition on their lives? A decision that was never, never even questioned beyond that point. But that's not what happens. It's interesting. What happens is those that actually agree with the referee's decision then start to campaign that if ever in the future of football anyone starts to question a referee's decision, from that point on, they should be labeled as sources of misinformation. There should be a law against it. Let's call it Jay's law. And they should be imprisoned. They should be taken to court. They should be found guilty if they are contesting a decision that a referee makes that they don't agree with. You see, because in their view, contesting these decisions, that can cause terrible harm and mental stress to those involved. Now, Adeley himself doesn't actually happen to agree with it. I think it's a bit ridiculous. But you'd be surprised how many people come and support this. Well, actually, in the whole nation, there's only about 18,000 that do. And the whole idea has obviously not gained any favor among the circles of authority out there. But yeah, this whole Jay's Law proposal, it is a weird thing. Those that benefited from his decision, they want more to be done against those that protest the possibility that the referee might, on the day, have got it wrong. Well, anyway, I said yesterday I intended to do a video where I spoke about the shockingly absurd 180s that have happened in the Jay Slater case, and I might still do that. But to be honest, I wanted to do one that had a lighter flavor to it. So I did what I did. I did this whole what if the Jay Slater foul play had been part of a very intense contest whereby the referee had to make a decision, came to a decision, didn't have all the facts on hand to make that decision wisely, gave his decision, and then lived with it. All right. There will be one of a more serious nature coming a little bit later. Let's leave it there. I will say hasta luego, adios, hasta la vista, and see you next time.